So I'll just spend a few minutes just talking about the living systematic reviews within Cochrane and beyond that are actually happening. And I'll just say that we will provide the links to all of these up once the webinar is finished so that you can look these up. So we are piloting living systematic reviews within Cochrane. At the moment, we have 4 author groups attached to 4 different review groups who are each piloting 1 or more Cochrane review. The methods and the model that we're using has been devised by the Living Systematic Review Network. We, so myself, Tari and Julian, are providing support. We're also evaluating the pilot as part of the work being done by Project Transform. And we should have the first Cochrane reviews transitioning to living systematic reviews on the library in the coming months. And we're using the idea of what's happening versus what's new. So to communicate the activity around the review, we're using the update status classification, which is something that those within Cochrane might be familiar with. It doesn't appear in the published review. It sits on the web page as a separate box that can be updated by the managing editor of the Cochrane Group without having to change what's happening, what's inside the actual published review. And then that will republish the review to communicate what's new. So I'm not going to go through this in a huge amount of detail, but just to show you that idea that at every stage when something happens in the review, so the searches are run, there's no new studies, data or information, or the searches are run, there is something, we're going to put it in now, we're going to put it in later, we can communicate that to the reader through the update status and the providing more information in the rationale and the free text box. So we are able to communicate to the reader, is this review still up to date? And what's the explanation behind where it's up to? So all of this can happen without the actual review publication itself being changed, and it's only those dark purple boxes where you would actually republish the review. So this is an example of the kind of information we can communicate with what's happening. So there's 3 levels to the update status classification. It's not live on the library yet, but it will hopefully be soon. So we can tell the reader it's up to date. We've got new information, but it's unlikely to change the conclusions. And we tell the reader this is an LSR, searches were run on a certain date. Here's the link to the new study. We haven't put it in yet, so therefore, because we don't think it's going to change the findings, and therefore the review is still up to date. So just to provide some other examples of how people are operationalising living systematic reviews, here's some references and this really nice figure by Perrine Krekey and team, which shows their process for updating the network meta-analysis. That's also the first fully complete published protocol I've seen for a living systematic review. And just to share with you that these are the ways that others are thinking about the concept. So we're starting to see people putting the call out for international groups of researchers and others to work together to try and all stay on top of an important question within their research area. We're seeing a lot of people publishing results on websites because of that challenge of how you keep things published on journals. So we're seeing the initial review go into a journal and then subsequent updates and the data being openly available on the web. And this is the first example I'm aware of a living systematic review that has been published in a journal. This is the team I was involved in, where the first review is published in the journal and then the updates are made available in the supplementary material. So they don't necessarily appear in PubMed, but all the published article and the PubMed citation directs the reader to go to the journal for updates.